Okay, recording started.
Okay, I'll take it from here. Yeah. Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Shreyas. My team members are Yashwant, Deepak, and Pawan. So we'll be doing a video demonstration of Project Component 4 for CS550 database systems. So first, we'll be showing you the login servlet which we created in Apache NetBeans, where we first created a new Java project. And once we created, yeah, we went to the file, create a new project. And once we create a new project, we'll be installing two dependencies. The first dependency is called odbc.jar, and the second dependency is called servletapi.jar. So once we import these two dependencies, we'll be installing the necessary libraries that come along with these two dependencies. And then we actually went ahead with writing the code for this login servlet. So it extends the HTTP servlet inbuilt module, and then we'll be taking two string inputs which will be passing in the URL. So the username and the password. So these two are the two parameters, the input parameters. And then what we are actually doing is that we are trying to make a connection to our SQL Oracle JDBC server by passing the one which is there on vsnet.gme.edu. We are passing the username and the password, and then on successful connection, we are actually running an SQL query in line number 30 saying we'll be selecting all the rows from the login table which where the username is matching to the one we just entered and the password which we are passing. So if we actually made a successful connection, first we'll be executing the query in line number 36 with the statement pst empty.execute query, and upon successful execution we'll be displaying that result in the web browser. We'll be displaying the get using the get object method. We'll be fetching the object and we'll be displaying it on the web browser. So now after this successful code, we write the code, we'll be running the build command, which will actually generate the class file in my file directory, which I'll be showing right here. So once we do a successful build, we'll be getting this login servlet underscore week12.class. And now I'll be copying this class file from here to the Tomcat folder to, where the server is hosted in the Tomcat. So there under the web dash inf folder, I have a subfolder named classes. I've created the folder called classes, and under that, I'll be pasting this servlet class file. So once I do this, and I'm going to be restarting my server, and after that, when I go to localhost at port number 8080, after restarting the server, when I go to my web browser at localhost at port 8080 Sleepy Hollow, and I pass in the Luger login API with username dmeher and the password 123, I'll be getting this output as you see on the web browser saying yes and some more data from my SQL table. Now my friend Yashwant will continue with this presentation.
Yeah, hi. My name is Yashwant, and I'm going to explain about info.jsp, where you can see the code. Here we'll be getting the connection. After getting the connection, we'll be requesting SSN from the browser, from which we can send the SSN. After that, we'll make the query. Select e.name, so sales from the employees. Okay. After that, we'll be checking the results for which we ran the query. From there, we can see the result. Once you see the browser, here we can just put the SN and just hit a reload. We can see that Deepak and his sales is 9,500. Now I'm going to explain about transactions.jsp. In the same way, once the connection is made, we'll be passing the SSN, uh, to which we need to print the transactions, transaction ID, transaction date, and the amount. Okay, go to the, okay. Here we'll be passing the same SSN which we have provided previously. We can see the 4 to 5 transactions which Deepak made. Now I'll be explaining about transaction details. Yeah, it's the same. Once we establish the connection, we will be sending one transaction ID of Deepak, and we can see the results in the browser. Uh, we can see transaction date, amount, and product name and price and quantities. Here we will be sending the transaction ID. Here we can see the transaction contains which products. Yeah, from here, Pawan will continue.
Yeah, hi. So now I'll be discussing about Avat's IDs.jsp. So here it requires us to create a, JSP file, JSP file where when given an employee SSN, we need to output the distinct award IDs belonging to specified employee SSN. For that, we have created a query, select a distinct award ID from granted G, where G.SSN is some as a specified SSN. So on running this and restarting the server, like we need to print distinct award IDs. Yeah, now we'll go to the browser, and then in the browser, if we give the input parameter as SSN in the URL and refresh it, we get the distinct award IDs. So there is only one distinct award ID for the specified SSN. And in the next JSP file, which is like granted details.jsp, the request input parameters will be here. Here will be two parameters. One is the award ID and the other one is employee SSN. And the response output should be the award date and the award center name for the specified award ID comma employee SSN pair. So for this, we have created the JSP file with the following query. And then in the browser, if you give the award ID and then SSN, we'll get the required data. Yeah. Yeah, so this is the required data. And then in the next step, it's transfer.jsp. So in this file, we need to give the input parameters as from SSN, and like we need to give one SSN and transfer it to another SSN employee. So we'll have the transfer date and transfer amount as the like parameters in the URL. So for the transfer date, we'll be taking sysdate, and remaining from SSN to SSN and amount will be the parameters from the URL. And once we like for this we need to post the transactions into the into the database. So that's the reason we are using insert into query. Once we execute the query, if there are any number of rows affected, if the number of rows affected are greater than 0, then we need to print a transfer completed successfully. So we'll now see that in the browser. So if you go to this and we want to transfer from SSN 1 to SSN 2, and then amount we want to transfer is 6. So now we'll transfer it. So I'm clicking on refresh. So now the transfer is completed successfully. This shows us the successful execution of successful updation of the transfer table. Yeah, now Deepak will take over for the Android part.
Thank you, Pawan. Now I will explain the part 3, the Android part of this project, where we build 6 screens as described in question, utilizing login servlet and 6 JSP file that explained by my other friends. So first we will create the empty activity for our project that will create the main activity and its corresponding activity main.xml. Next is we need to add volley.jar. Click on the project. We have to create libs folder here, and here we will have to copy paste the volley.jar file. Basically, it is a tool that simplifies the task of making network calls and managing UI based on network data, and that we are going to use that in our project. We'll again go back to Android, and since we are making a network call, we need to make certain changes in manifest .xml, Android manifest.xml. So we have added these 2 lines, user permission and user library, this legacy one. What does this first line does is it allows application to make the network request, such as HTTP request to server and fetch data. And this part of the code, it allows us to use Apache HTTP client in Android. Then we have developed these 6 screens. Okay, let's go one by one. First screen is login screen, where we take the username and password Okay, let me run the app and simultaneously we can go. Logins. This is a login screen where we take the username and password as input. As soon as we click on as soon as we click on login, in background, we make a call to login servlet. This is the code. We could make a call to login server script, which is in Tomcat server, which take these arguments, username and password, and gives SSN of the user if the details are valid. We also get redirected in the next screen. This is the code for that. And okay, let me enter the username and password real quick. As soon as I click login, it will go to the next page. So next page is responsible for displaying total sales with photo of the user. And this thing we fetch using info.jsp. And this is the code for that. Yeah. And we fetch we pass the SSN as an input parameter, and we fetch input name and total sales of the user. And these are the buttons which will navigate us to other tasks that we have implemented. Let's check them one by one. Let's click on transaction. After clicking on transactions, the next transaction screen will come, which displays the transaction details based on the its transaction IDs. Based on the transaction of the user. And let's go back. Now let's see what's the transaction detail button this thing is doing. So here the next one is transaction details, which displays the transaction based on the transaction ID. We need to select transaction ID on spinner, which gives us a date, amount, product name, price, and quantity. And this is the code for that. This is the transaction details code. We are passing SSN and fetching the transaction IDs, loading into the spinner using array adapter, and then we are using the transaction ID to fetch the transaction details of the user. Next is award details. Here we are making a call to award IDs JSP file, which will fetch the award IDs, which will show in spinner. And as soon as we select this award ID, the respective award details will be shown up, and that will be done by again another JSP call, that is grant details. So first we have used award ID.jsp, and then now we are using grant details.jsp, and we are displaying data using string builder. Next is transfer. In transfer page, we need to enter the destination ID, which is the SSN of the user you want to transfer to, and the amount which you want to transfer to. As soon as we click on execute transfer button, we call transfer.jsp file, which transfers the amount from one SSN to another and update the transfer table. Let's select one SSN. Let's transfer some amount. Click on execute transfer, and we can see transfer completed successfully message here. Let's go back. Next is exit button. As soon as you click on exit button, you'll be logged out and redirected to the login screen. Yeah, and in this way, we have implemented the project component 4 using Android, Tomcat, and Oracle database. Thank you so much.